Hey everyone, I'm Nick,
I'm Vic.
And I'm Sam.
And I'm Andrew.
and we're MV Board Gaming. So we're back from our Dice Tower cruise. Super excited, had a great time. We have multiple bullet points we're going to get through. We're going to go back and forth with Andrew and Sam on each of these bullet points. So let's just kick it off right now with how many games we played on the vacation. Vacation, I mean the cruise, and we actually stayed in Fort Lauderdale an extra day. So we played a total of 22 games. 19 of those games were new to us. And Vic, what did we play?
So, games we played included Foundations of Rome, Vagrant Song, Dwellings of Eldervale, Bad Company, Stella, Creature Comforts, Good Critters, Obsession, Raw, Detective Club, Cleopatra and the Society of Architects, So Clover, Project Elite, Barren Park, Chocolate Factory, Bitoku, Pret-a-Porter, Prodigals Club, and Demon Worker. Including the after part of the cruise, we also played Shipwreck Arcana, and The Crew, and 10.
Yep. We also played Suburbia on the flight home, but we won't count that.
All right, and so for us, we played a total of 21 games between the two of us. There was one that you played that I didn't get to play, and there are a few that I played that I know that you didn't get to play. So a bunch of them we played with Nick and Vic. We had quite a few. I think there was about 5 or 6 that we just played 2-player. There were a few games I got to play with new friends and had the privilege of being able to teach people as well as have them teach me, which was a great experience. And so just an array of games, party games, heavy games, Euro games, Ameritrash games, you name it. But 21 games total. So I'm not sure what a typical number of games to be played, but I felt like that was pretty good. So 21 games between the two of us.
It was a nice variety, too.
Yeah. All right. So 21 games.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and talk about our top 3 games that we played. Now, this was kind of a hard list to come up with because I had so many good experiences playing a lot of these games. So let's start with you. What were your top 3 games? Let's start with the bottom and then work our way up.
Okay. Well, number 3 for me was Barren Park.
Okay.
Number 2 was King Domino Origins.
Okay.
And number 1 was Zoo Break.
Okay.
This was very hard though because I liked all 3 of these kind of equally, so it was kind of hard for me to rank them 1, 2, and 3. And then actually go ahead with your top 3. I have honorable mentions.
Well, and a lot of those are, let's see, Zoo Break and King Domino Origins were ones that just the two of us played. And they're not very heavy games. Zoo Break's a cooperative game. King Domino Origins, obviously we have King Domino and Queen Domino. This is kind of like in between the two. It's not as heavy as Queen Domino, but I like the variety that brings more than King Domino.
Yes. Definitely.
So that was a good one. For me, my top 3 games were, I would say, my number 3 was Bitoku. So this was a very heavy game that we played with Nick and Vic. And so having to learn it and everything, a very heavy game, but was worth, the teach and the time it took to play it. Really loved all the mechanics and just the depth that went into that game. My number 2 was Creature Comforts that we also played with Nick and Vic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really like this. I like the simultaneous actions. It could seem a little bit long at 4 players when everybody's kind of resolving their actions, but I really like the flow of the game and the trying to collect the different cards that play off of one another and the different buildings or improvements that you could get. I really, really enjoyed that. It was kind of a surprise. I thought I would like it. I didn't know how much I would like it. And then my number 1, I have a couple honorable mentions, and I'm a little shocked that some of my honorable mentions weren't my number 1. But my number 1 is Mezzo. And I was very surprised that Mezzo was my number 1. And I think it was just because of the experience I had. I wasn't I expected to maybe like it. I didn't even know if I would like it, but I didn't think I would like it that much. And so I really liked Mezzo. I liked how simple the turns were. I really enjoyed the play. I was able to meet some new people. I had a great experience. The guy that taught us, which I'll probably talk about this a little bit later, but he did a great job, and it was just overall a great experience. And really enjoyed that. So my favorite game that I played, my number one, was probably Mezzo. I had such a good time playing that game, and it really kind of surprised me at how much I liked it. I liked it so much. You know, if I'm thinking about the God games like Ankh, if I'm thinking about the Eric Lang games like Ankh, Blood Rage, and Rising Sun, I actually like this better than Rising Sun and Blood Rage. Mezzo that much.
Really?
I still like Ankh better, but I like Mezzo 2 out of those 4. I know Eric Lang didn't design Mezzo, but they're all kind of in that same realm, and I like Mezzo that much. So
Okay.
yeah.
I was actually shocked at how many I got to play off my list.
Oh yeah.
I feel like we played a lot that were on my list, and I was always really excited to play Zoo Break, but I felt like when we played it, it was just really exciting. And granted, it may look kind of like a kid's game, but it was a little difficult. Like, you know, we had to make sure they didn't escape from the zoo, and, you know, all kinds of chaos was going on. I liked King Domino Origins more than I thought I would. I didn't really know anything about it, but I liked the whole kind of like resource part of it.
Right.
With the animals, I thought that was a cool, you know, part of the game. And then Barren Park, I kind of knew I would like it just because of the tile placement and, you know, the bear, making it a bear park. But it was very like relaxing for me. Like I felt like Barren Park was just a really great game.
Yeah, very simple game too.
Yes, yeah.
And I agree. I wasn't sure how much I would like King Domino, but I like it. Well, King Domino Origins, but I liked it more than the original King Domino.
Me too.
All right. So the next one is...
What are your honorable mentions?
Oh, yes. Honorable mentions. So I really did enjoy Dwellings of Eldervale, but I think I just liked those other 3 a little bit better. If it wasn't for those 3, Dwellings of Eldervale would have been in my top. I was kind of surprised I even got to it, but I really did enjoy this game. I want to play it again, obviously. It was a bigger, heavier game to learn and kind of get to the table and everything, but great experience. Love being able to play that with Nick and Vic as well. Dwellings of Eldervale is one of my honorable mentions, and the last of my honorable mentions would be So Clover. You know, I'd heard so much about this party game. We were able to check it out. That thing was, I feel like it was off the shelf every single time we tried to look for it.
Yeah,
so it was so hard to get a hold of.
It's gone.
And when we finally did, we took it up to the Windjammer, and Brian Drake was like, "Oh, that's like my favorite party game." And I was like, "Really?" And so we got to sit down, and we were able to play it, and it was such a good game. I really enjoyed it. Had a great time with it, and so a little bit surprised by that one as well, because I was like, you know, how many party... I have some party games already, and I didn't think I'd be like, oh, do I need another party game? And then I played So Clover, and I was like, oh, I might need another party game. So, yeah.
Okay.
So those are my honorable mentions. What were yours?
So mine, I had a couple, but I'll limit it to 2, just because you only did 2.
Okay.
So Foundations of Rome was a huge honorable mention for me. That was actually, I wanted to put it in my top 3 games during the cruise, but there were also just so many that I liked. So Foundations of Rome, and Creature Comforts. Nick was like, oh yeah, you'd probably love Creature Comforts because, you know, the animals and stuff.
Right.
But it did have a very Everdell feel to me, which I love. So I really enjoyed that game too.
Right.
Yeah.
It's good. So I think all 5 of yours had animals, or they had tile placement in them.
Yeah, we figured that would happen,
much.
right?
Right, yeah. Awesome. So those were our top 3, plus a couple honorable mentions for the cruise.
So, of those, anything you want to purchase?
Well, I did really like Obsession, although it is a bit boring of a graphic design. I liked Obsession, and I would say Dwellings of Eldervale, if we can get our hands on it. I'm intrigued. I like heavy games, and I enjoyed So Clover for a party game. I think that could be a new one we could add to just freshen up our party game collection, and Prodigal's Club. I really liked the opportunities for that one to play.
Nice. I will go with, Andrew Sammer Foundations of Rome. That's already the Kickstarter. Thankfully, we don't have to get that. I do not want that on my shelf. Dwellings of Eldervale, if we get a hold of it, I agree with Vic. Bad Company, yes.
Oh,
if we
yeah,
get a hold of Bad Company, that's a game that's similar to Valeria Card Kingdom and Space Base. I love Valeria Card Kingdom even more than Space Base, which is blasphemy to a lot of people, but I
Andrew.
do. Yes, Andrew's one of them. But Bad Company plays a lot like that. Different twists, obviously. It's not the same game. I liked it a lot. Stella, iffy.
Yeah.
Creature Comforts, iffy, because how it played at 4. If we did play it, it would probably be at 2 or 3. We could do it at 4, but it probably wouldn't be a go-to. That'd be something. And the price point I saw was not that bad. It was like $32.
Oh, nice.
But it's a pre-order. It's expected in April as far as a retail version. No. Let's see what else. So Clover, like Vic said, because a party game and it's going to be cheaper. It's going to be probably 20 or under. Barron Park I actually saw was on sale today for $22. It had sold out so quick on Miniature Market for February 22nd, their sale. So it's $22, but it sold out like nothing.
And how could I forget Bitoku? Because
Bitoku
we bought it already.
Bitoku has been purchased, so that will be coming our way.
That one went without saying.
Yeah, Bitoku.
Only 2 players, though. We spent a long time playing it at 4, and I think that it'll just be something special for Nick and I to play together.
Yeah, I'm okay to play it, though, at 4. I'm definitely okay to try it again. I think the teach will be smoother, because Andrew will teach it on the fly with the rule book. We already know how to play. I can teach that game to maybe Tim and Alyssa or something.
Yeah.
And that might be smoother, but you have to warn them it's going to take a little longer. And yeah, Prodigals Club. Demon Worker, also hard to get, and it's only 3 to 4 players, so that kind of limits it. If it were a 2 to 4, Demon Worker would have been at list too. Prodigals Club, I agree though. So there you go. That's what. Let's see what they think.
All right. So anything you want to purchase that you played?
Yeah, so of the games that I played, there are 2 that I want to purchase. One being King Domino Origins. I liked it so much that I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell the original King Domino with the expansion, and I'm going to get King Domino Origins. Reason being, I like the strategy that comes with it. I like the fighting over the majorities of the different items, whether it be mammoths or the mushrooms or the arrowheads, trying to get those. I also really enjoyed the volcanoes where you are launching fire around your kingdom, and you can kind of buff up an area that you're going for. And so it's not so much maybe hoping you get the tile that comes out that matches the region that you're trying to go for, but maybe even you being able to really build up a solid points region for your guy. I also like that there's essentially 3 different ways to play the game, and the third one, so the one is just a regular kind of like King Domino, second one has to do with the majority, and the third one is where you can spend these resources to get people into your kingdom, kind of like Queen Domino. So it's an in between King Domino and Queen Domino, but I like this one better just because it adds a little bit more variety and maybe a little bit more strategy with it as well too. So yeah, the other game that I would think about buying is So Clover. I just mentioned it not too long ago. So Clover would be a great one to get. I think that'll be really great to play with our friends, being able to play with new gamers. A nice little filler party game that you can just play in between some heavier games. Really enjoyed that one. Brian Drake was right. That is a great party game. So those are the 2 that I would buy. What about you? What are some that you would buy?
So mine would be I have a ton on here. And I was
all of them.
All of them. So for me, Zoo Break, I would like to buy Barron Park, King Domino Origins, Creature Comforts, and Dream Home.
Wow. Well, sounds like the bank is going to be hurting a little bit for a while.
We're just going to sell
Maybe we can find them on a deal.
It'll be fine. Yeah, I think Dream Home is like
if you could only
cheap.
buy one of them or 2 of them, which one? Is that difficult for you right there?
Creature Comforts.
Okay.
And
Oof.
Barron Park.
Barron Park. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting that you didn't pick Zoo Break even though it was your number 1.
I mean, I love it, but if I had to choose, I don't know. You're making me think too much about it.
No worries. Okay. It wasn't one. I didn't prepare you ahead of time for that question.
No.
All right. So those would be the ones that we would buy from our cruise.
Favorite place that we went to during the trip? I have a pretty good idea of what Andrew and Sam might say. But for us, we really enjoyed the Honduras excursion. I really liked getting up close and personal with the monkeys, and although there was brief rain, it really went away quickly. Got to have a parrot on my hand and on my arms, and the sloth was sleeping, but that's okay. It was still a fun adventure to drive around the island and try iguana.
Yeah.
Which was different. It tasted like dark meat.
Yep.
Chicken.
And I don't know what Sam and Andrew are going to say. You might be surprised. Maybe they're going to pick the same thing. Because we got to experience a lot in that one trip to Honduras.
That's true.
We were all over that island. And I don't know that Cozumel, for instance, had that same experience. Yes, they got to do the dolphin thing, which is awesome. But Honduras was all day. You saw the whole island. You got to see so much culture in that island. And so many things, what's going on there, that I feel like they might pick that as well, which I am picking. We had already done Cozumel, so we knew what to expect there.
And the coffee was phenomenal. Highly recommend the coffee. We had a frozen banana. Nick had a frozen pineapple that was like chocolate dipped at the chocolate factory. Super good chocolate. Andrew and Sam picked up a lot of little mini chocolate bars with different flavors. So, yeah, maybe I might be surprised by what they pick.
Yeah, maybe. It was just so random, like getting in that Toyota and just driving. We have clips that we're putting up as well with that trip, which our buddy Andy, his name was, driving his little Toyota around, and just like basically we got off the port, and he pulled us. He actually saw us once we got to the streets, once we found where we're going, and we walked down this village into his little Toyota that was up some hills, and this they don't have roads.
Half paved road.
Yeah, and there's like just dogs all over and children, and I don't know, it's totally different, unexpected, like the way that we boarded that. Excursion and the way it went, but it was super awesome. Yes, we tried iguana, which was good. Tastes like chicken. I guess that's the cliche, but it actually tasted like chicken.
Yeah, it did. And the rice that it was served with, I know Andrew and Sam really enjoyed that as well. It was done with coconut oil, and so it had a tropical taste to it, but it was also very different from Mexican rice or Spanish rice. Yeah. So neat.
And the monkeys, we did so much. The monkeys are probably the highlight there.
Yeah.
Just the monkeys flying all over the trees, jumping on you.
Yeah, I never had that.
Stealing things and running up the trees. And luckily, they didn't steal anything of ours. And the birds were all flying around and stuff. It was really cool. They landed on you, and we got to take pictures with it and video, which you also, if you've watched our video, you've seen.
So for me, thinking about it, I think I'm going to have to go with not one specific place, but for me it was Honduras. So what if I'm saying it? Roatan,
I think.
Honduras. Yeah. That is my favorite port, my favorite place, and I think the reason is because we had a great guide with Andy through Explore Honduras. He was, a native who was able to kind of tell us all about the culture. When I go to a new country, I want to experience it. I want to know about it. I know of Honduras, but I don't know Honduras. And so him being able to maybe explain some of the things that are going on in the country and kind of helping us to know what it's like to be there, and him being able to show us around to different places and kind of like, hey, this is the kind of food you should try while you're here, and really kind of educate us about that part of the world. I really enjoyed being able to go and play with the capuchin monkeys and hold the parrots and see the butterflies and the kinkajou and the spider monkeys and the sloths and everything, and it was just such a surreal experience to be somewhere. This was your first time out of the country, and so just being able to experience the different cultures and being in another country and kind of learning about it. That's why I can't really pick like one specific little place, but I just really enjoyed that whole experience, especially being able to ride around with Andy and him kind of educating us on everything that has to do with Honduras.
Yes. Yeah, he was a great guide. I mean, I feel like we couldn't have had a better tour guide, honestly. I mean, the places he took us, you felt like comfortable, like you're in a completely different country, but he just made the experience so much better, like I felt like he knew exactly where to go, no worries, it wasn't
he was
stressful
so
at all.
Educated about everything too.
Yes. So for me, this was difficult because as a whole, I like the country of Honduras more than the other two ports.
Right.
But Cozumel for me was probably my favorite place because of the dolphin and manatee excursions.
Oh, okay.
I had my heart set on this excursion from the beginning, and I was like, I want to do, if I do one thing during this cruise, I want to swim with dolphins. And it was nice because we got kind of a bonus with the manatees, which in the United States it's illegal to like pet them and touch them, I guess, unless you're like a zoologist or an expert of some kind.
I don't know.
And so actually being able to be near them and being able to like see them be fed and touch them and just be so close was such an amazing experience. I loved Roatan too with the animals, but I had my heart set on the dolphin excursions and just being able to have them like push you and, you know, swim on their belly, like have them pull you and do all these cool, just see how intelligent these animals are was just so cool. I mean, I was like on cloud 9 the whole time, pretty much. So yeah, I would say probably just the dolphin swim and manatee excursions, but it was all so cool. It's a difficult thing to decide.
Amazing, a lot of amazing experiences. To be honest, so but yeah, great times.
Okay, Nick, best thing about the cruise.
All right.
What can you point to one thing?
It's so difficult. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to point to the best thing about the cruise, and that to me probably is the fact that it feels like a slumber party all week, except you have privacy. You know, you can wake up and now the party continues again, and then you go to sleep later on and the party continues again and again, and it's really cool. Dinner's always ready for you. You don't have to worry about dishes or anything like that. Everything's already taken care of, and we have tons of games we got to, and we do have some regrets in that category, but overall, the best thing about the cruise is just having that camaraderie with your friends. That was super cool to have a group that we went with this time.
Yeah.
We had a chat this time, so we actually could organize. Last time it was kind of like, maybe if we see them, you know, we could play a game with them. We might not see them all day. And it made it really fun. What about you, Vic?
Yeah, I'd say the best thing about the cruise was definitely the people, was knowing you had friends. I never did really a trip with friends before. I mean, when I was a teenager, but I'm an adult now. So it's kind of interesting to go as an adult with friends, with mutual interests, and that we were able to split up, you know, some of the time that we had between board games and being in the convention, but also with cruise activities and fun excursions. When we chose to get off the boat, it was a nice change of pace. And I really, just for me, the best thing about the cruise is being on that boat.
Nice. What about you guys?
You know, as much as I love playing games and going to these different countries, the best thing about the cruise itself, being on the ship, you know, for me was honestly interacting with the customers, whether that be customer service from Dice Tower or customer service from Royal Caribbean, or really just interacting with the people. But I'm, you know, the only way I can compare it is probably to when we went to Disney, was just how kind and how caring everybody was. You know, from the dining room, everybody kind of engaging in conversation and taking the time to get to know you, and, you know, making sure that you're comfortable and that you're happy with the service and getting everything that you need.
Yes.
And even being able to get to know them and talk to them about their own personal lives and their experiences. Everybody was so nice. Even Norman, who was helping take care of the rooms and everything, so nice, so helpful, so just patient with us, and so courteous, and it was amazing. And then even thinking about the Dice Tower staff, you know, it was our very first cruise ever. It was our first time going to a Dice Tower event. It was our first time going on a cruise. It was your first time leaving the country. And, you know, a lot of that comes with a lot of anxiety, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of stress that could come. But when you have such helpful staff and nice people that are willing to be helpful and just, you know, patient with you, it makes everything so much easier. You know, Tom personally asked me if I was having a good time, if I had any issues with being able to play with anybody, you know, and it felt like, you know, not that they necessarily inconvenienced themselves to check in on me, but that they genuinely cared that you were having a decent experience.
Yeah.
And to me, you know, whether I was seasick, which I mean, I only had one day, but everybody was really, really kind and always was invested in how is your experience going. And so for me, the best thing about the experience was honestly just the customer service, both from the Dice Tower staff as well as from Royal Caribbean. I could not have asked for better customer service.
Yeah, Royal Caribbean was awesome. Like, I don't think I've ever been anywhere besides Disney World where it was like top-notch service.
Right.
I'm going to piggyback off of you though. I actually even had a lady when I was getting coffee that was she was also attending the convention, and I feel like it was like one of the last few days, but I was getting a coffee. She saw my badge that it said a first timer on it, and she was like, how has the convention been? Are you having a good time? Have people been playing games with you? Like, have you had enough people to play with you? So she seemed like genuinely concerned about me being a first time convention goer, that like, are people being friendly? Are they playing games with you? Like, it was just, you don't really get that when you go anywhere else.
Right.
So I thought that was really nice. I mean, she was a complete stranger, and she was like concerned with, wanting to make sure I had a good time because she had been on a couple before.
Right. Because of my experience with this cruise, I don't think I would want to go on a cruise other than the Dice Tower cruise. And I might not even want to go on a cruise other than Royal Caribbean, just because of how positive the experience was. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Right.
All right, and we're on to the best experience. Vic, what was the best experience?
Well, every night we had a set dining time. We were able to meet up with Andrew and Sam pretty regularly after the first night. Nick and I ended up alone. There was like this real mix-up with tables because of the COVID protocols. So we spent our first dinner, just Nick and I. And then after that, though, we were able to merge tables and had Andrew and Sam with us for the remainder of the trip. And Nick and I even canceled our steakhouse reservation just because we felt like, we were having so much fun in the dining room every night, just dying of laughter. I was always in tears. My stomach would always hurt from just laughing all night because there were so many like inside jokes that we formed with Andrew and Sam so quickly. And that was such a highlight, was getting to share a meal together and then from there make plans of what we wanted to do or maybe recap on the day. So it was really, for me, the best experience was having that nightly dinner. I don't know. I really liked that part.
I was thinking that as you were saying that, how many inside jokes we have so quickly with Andrew and Sam. Even before the trip, we had inside jokes. Now we've had so many.
Yeah.
Every night was like a cracking up laughter, like Vic said. Best experience, I'm going to chalk it up to just seeing the culture of Honduras. That's an experience in itself that in some situations it humbles you. It's like these people don't have as much as us, and you kind of see that in the streets, and it's the squalor some people are living in. And the place we went to is a tourist destination. They're happy to have you there. So everyone was welcoming, no issues at all. Mm-hmm. Everyone was super nice. And that was my best experience. Just traveling through Honduras was my best experience.
For me, the customer service was top notch. But for me, my best experience on the cruise was the animal encounters and experiencing different cultures. Mm-hmm. I was just taken back, like just being able to see how they live. And mm-hmm. This was my first time out of the country. So being able to experience that outside of the US was like mind blowing for me. So that was my favorite experience.
My best experience on the cruise, I would say, is playing Mezzo. Mm-hmm. I got down there one morning, I got Mezzo, I checked it out, I was reading the rule book on how to play, and a gentleman came up to me. His name was Ian, and his name was Taylor, sorry, not Ian. Taylor came up to me, and he said that he wanted to play, so we actually ended up having to move it to another table for a bigger table. And he had recognized us from the video that we did about the games that we wanted to play on the Dice Tower cruise. And he said, he told me, we had quite a bit of overlap. He watched the video, and he really enjoyed it. And so we were sitting down, setting up the game, learning to play. And as we were waiting for additional players to show up, a gentleman named Ian, who was also his first time, he loves playing Mezzo and offered to teach it. Mm-hmm. And I was so grateful, and he was so excited, and he's like, I never get to play this, and I love this game. And so he was super eager to teach it, and he did such a great job teaching the game. And then we had another gentleman named Eric who came and played with us as well. And overall, it was just such a great experience to meet new people, to be able to build those relationships. And I had a blast. I had such a great time being able to spend time with these people who I didn't have any idea existed beforehand, and then ended up, making new friends. And I love that experience. It was so great to be able to and the game was so good, so overall it just is such a great experience. And so for me, that was my best experience. Not to say I didn't enjoy playing games with you or with Nick and Vic, but that experience just kind of took the cake for me. And everything, I wasn't expecting someone to even recognize us or anything like that. And so, not that I'm famous or anything like that.
Yeah,
not even close to it.
Recognize us.
Not even close to it. And it was just so nice to be able to have that experience with people and be able to play a great game with them. So that was my best experience on the cruise.
Okay. And I'll go back because I did skip kind of the best thing about the cruise. My favorite experience was the animal encounters and like the different cultures, experiencing that. But my favorite thing about the cruise was the ease of traveling to multiple countries. Like being able to, you don't have to fly there. You get on a boat. It takes you to each of the ports. You literally get off on the port, you go to a different country, you get back on the boat, and then they keep going. Like, I just love the ease of that. I feel like you get to experience 3 different countries in one trip, which is hard to do otherwise.
Well, 2 different countries.
Or that's what I meant. I meant 3 different locations in one trip.
So we've talked a lot about lots of good things, best experiences. Is there anything, Nick, that you would change if you could do it again?
Well, I wouldn't lose my my mics. Right now, you're noticing we're talking through to the camera because we don't have mics on us right now. We lost our set of mics. Not sure how. We never even used them. They were in the electronics bag, and when I just checked and filmed this video, they're not there. The rest of my electronics are there. Not sure how it happened because we didn't use it, so that's one thing that I would change, not losing that. Other than that, I think the biggest thing, well, there's a couple. Sometimes you don't want to plan around shows because they get canceled, and they're very poor. Royal Caribbean is very poor at letting you know that they're canceled as far as in advance. They'll let you know when you go there. They'll let you know, no problem. Like, they were canceled, we postponed it to this day. No problem there. The problem is you don't have any notice, and you can plan things around that time. And now that stuff that you planned, you could have done a lot of things. You decided not to play this game. You decided not to do this comedy club because you had some other thing planned, whatever it might be. And that really just kind of really ruins hours of your night, and that's really unfortunate. So we learn if we don't love it, maybe we do continue what we're doing, and if it lands at the perfect time, we'll go. If not, it is what it is. I'm not gonna get canceled repeatedly and happen more than once. That's why it's a little upsetting.
Yeah.
Something else is we didn't really play with people we didn't know because we had friends and stuff, and no one asked me. I was waiting. I was hoping that somebody might, because of our video. Not even one person did that, which is fine. I understand why you wouldn't. I maybe wouldn't either. So no one asked me to play. I didn't insert myself because we had friends that we can always play with them. That was their first cruise, like Andrew and Sam, for instance. It was their first cruise. Happy to play with them. But next time, maybe I would say, you know what, I'm going to go walk around and maybe see who wants to play a game.
And take advantage of those signs, the meeple signs that the Dice Tower used. Because Randy and Miranda from Legends of Nerdvana mentioned that those signs were really crucial in helping them get people to sit down, and they were able to teach a game. Now, they were playing, I don't want to speak for them, they have their own video about the Dice Tower that they're going to speak about it. But I know that Randy was teaching Hadrian's Wall quite a lot, so that's a game that he has under his purview. He knows it well. And I know Miranda had Tapestry. She was also teaching that. So, Nick had an opportunity to teach Underwater Cities, which was neat, but we were not going to play it with the folks that he taught it to. So it's kind of, one thing you checked off was being able to teach a game. But
and I was on the hunt for a while to teach a game because I really wanted to help somebody learn a game. So yeah, that's another thing I would change. I would go out of my way a little more to play with people I don't know. And the Underwater Cities experience was good. I didn't even play the game, but I got to explain it to a couple of nice ladies that were willing, like they were happy to have somebody teach. They didn't have a sign. I just saw they hadn't started the game. I approached them at the buffet, the Windjammer, and they had the game, and I was, walking through looking to teach something. And one of the first tables I saw was Underwater Cities. I know the game pretty damn well. So I went over there and I just asked them. I said they would be happy for a teacher, and that made my night because after that we played Batoku, which was awesome too. So yeah, that was a great night.
It's always good when you know a game that you can pass that on to people. I think for me, the things I would change if I went again would be to be more prepared with knowing games ahead of trying to learn them on the fly. Now, for me, I have a bit of a focus issue. It's hard for me to sit down, read a rule book while people are talking and conversations are going on around me, and I'm seeing, oh, they're playing Captain Sonar. Oh, look over there, they're playing Kanban EV. Nick, go teach them. There's a lot of stuff happening, and then it's just, for me, my style of learning a game is I prefer to watch videos, and Nick and I purposely did not purchase the internet package this past week because we really liked the unplug. I mean, there's been so much over the past couple of years. There's so much news, 24-hour news cycle. I feel like I'm always plugged in. So I really wanted to not be connected. So I think, unfortunately, because of the structure of the Dice Tower convention, they don't really have like game gurus or people who are organizing games that much. They had a couple games on demo, but it seems that when they announce those, it's done through the Facebook group, that you may need to have social media to coordinate with people better on what games you're playing. I'm not sure if that played into it as well, because I know some of our friends that use the internet and were able to make connections through the internet using social media during the cruise. But I guess it's a trade-off. We'll have to have Nick be the arbiter of the internet next time if we do decide to purchase it to help us learn the games on a fly, because we attempted to play Pret-a-Porter, and much to my dismay, I just wasn't able to teach it, and I wasn't able to understand the rulebook well enough, and without anyone being there to help, I felt pretty hopeless on that one. So that was something I would change for sure, is being more prepared for going into games that I know I want to learn or want to play. Then it makes it much smoother, because it takes a while to learn a game on the fly. That's a hard thing to do.
Depending on the game. Dwellings took me a while too.
And then everyone else is sitting around, so what happens is people start talking, because what are they going to do, sit there in silence? And then as they're talking, I get so distracted that or I am the distractor. I'm the person speaking while somebody else is trying to learn a game. So yeah, something I might need to look at a strategy for, or look and maybe go to those experiences where people are teaching games, like Waking Up Early. I've heard that Tom Vassell and others taught Arc Nova, which was always out and on display. It would have been nice to have had someone teach us a game.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think I would change.
All right.
Things I would change if I went again. I think I would probably try to play less heavier games, or I would try to find someone that would be able to teach them. Trying to learn a big, heavier, longer game is a little stressful, especially if you're having to teach it to a lot of other people. I would, maybe not focus on that. If you can find a teacher for those games, great. Maybe get to know some people, and if they're willing to teach it to you, then check the game out and set up a time with them to maybe they could teach you how to play the game and play it with them. Whereas if you're trying to check out a game, see if you can get more players, learn the rule book, get players, teach them all, and then play it, it's really stressful and anxiety just to be able to, because you're trying to play as many games as you can in 1 week, right? And trying to have all these great experiences. So I think, for next time, I would probably not make that a focus of, I need to play bigger, heavier games, just because it's going to eat up a lot of your time, especially if you don't know how to play them. So I would more so, focus on maybe getting to know people and playing some smaller games, and maybe they'll know the games that you want to play, and then they'll offer to potentially teach it to you the same day or a later day in the future. So that's what I would do a little bit different, is not so much focus on, I want to play these games, as, I want to play with as many different people as I can, and then build those relationships, and they could potentially teach me, or I could, vice versa, I could teach them a game that they want to play.
Right. Okay. For me, I would not change anything. I really don't know. That was a hard question for me, but I think everything was the way that I anticipated, or not even anticipated, but I wouldn't change anything.
So I know that others are wondering, especially Danilo, what our favorite food or meal was, and Danilo was our wonderful waiter on the cruise at the main dining room. Him and Maria Blausili, we had a few different wait staff. I'm sure they're not watching this, but hey, if you guys are, but they were really cool, and we see the same staff every night. So it was kind of funny that some of the things that Danilo witnessed us eat, the amount of food was pretty substantial. So what, of all the things that we ingested, what was your favorite thing, Nick?
You know what? And this is a really dark horse because it's definitely not something I would pick as being my favorite thing. That I wouldn't expect this to be my favorite thing.
Okay.
When I tried it, it's like, that is a really good chicken parmesan. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because I had going with, I wasn't impressed with the menu that day, and I ordered a steak. I ordered, which is an upcharge, like a $16 upcharge. I had credits anyway, so I didn't really pay for it. So I was thinking that my steak was going to be the best, and it was not as good as last time. And all of a sudden, this chicken parm comes out. It's fantastic. It was one of the best chicken parms. The only thing that even compared was our wedding chicken parm.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was super good. I think that might be my favorite. I like the rice in Honduras, but I gotta pick the chicken parm, which is really, really weird because I had some really good food. I think that's probably my favorite. What about you?
Well, I really enjoyed the short rib dish that we had. That chicken parm was phenomenal. There was nothing I really disliked throughout the week. It was really nice in the dining room. You could get multiple entrees if you liked one thing, but you also liked another. You're not restricted. You can, get more food. And it was good because you can get if you couldn't decide, you can get the chicken parm or the short rib. So I really liked the short rib. I thought it was really excellent. And some of the dessert choices, like a baked Alaska. I always wanted one of those. Growing up as a kid, I dreamed of eating a baked Alaska.
That was your favorite dessert?
I really like the baked Alaska.
I think mine would be the key lime that we had after.
Oh yeah, okay, that was definitely. I when we're talking about after cruise, we went to Magnolia Cafe in Fort Lauderdale area, and it was really good. It was a French cafe. They made this key lime pie, homemade, and it was so light. It wasn't dense, but it had such a great crust, and yeah, really nice flavor, really good.
So as great as the food was on the cruise, because I ate a ton of it, like a ton of it,
Yeah.
so much. However, and it was all good. However, I do have to go back to on Honduras. Andy recommended us eating iguana. Okay? And so we are vegetarians typically on vacation. I decided I was in international waters, and so I let my body eat whatever it wanted to. I was on vacation.
Yeah.
Okay? So
I
iguana
just had
was on
seafood and
right.
the iguana.
Right, yeah.
One bite of that.
So we had the iguana. It was so good. All right. So I like the iguana, the experience of eating iguana. However, Honduran rice is by far the best rice I have ever had. I think I was told they put like coconut water. It was sweet. Mm-hmm. It was so good. Like the rice was so moist, and the flavor, it was so flavorful, and it had the sweet taste to it. And then you just throw in that experience of I got to eat iguana. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it had bones that you had to pick out a little bit, but it was such a great experience, and that meal just took the cake because, one, it was something I never had before. Mm-hmm. Two, best rice I've ever had. Great meal, and the plantain chips were delicious as well.
Oh, yeah, the plantain chips. Those rocked my world. I was like, how do I get these? I want to make them.
I'm sure we could.
I'm going to try. And that coconut rice. I'm really going to try to whip up some like authentic Honduran food, but we'll see what happens.
Can we get the iguana?
You'd have to steal someone's pet. Like, I don't think they'd be okay with that.
So yeah, so that would be my favorite meal. Although I will say, my dining, the food was perfect.
Yes, it was like you got to eat fine dining every night for dinner, which is not something you get to experience.
I miss Danilo.
Danilo was so good to us. He spoiled us with so much food, and oh man, when I got back, I was like, I don't want to cook anything. Right. Like, I've been being pampered this whole time.
That's right.
You know, it was nice.
Yeah. So, what about you? What was your favorite meal?
Okay. Well, so does dessert count as like part of
food,
a meal?
Yeah,
like
or you
food?
could say food. That's fine. I went with a whole meal. Go for it.
All right. So my favorite meal was the salmon. I had
Okay.
that the first night. So it was salmon. It had like this like
herb
horseradish
crusted.
sauce around it, and then it was
Okay.
like on top of like mashed potatoes or something. Like it was so
It
good.
was the herb crusted salmon, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really good. I love the salmon. So that was probably my favorite meal because I did have seafood during the cruise. But my favorite dessert was
I know what it's gonna be, and I hate it.
the he's weird. Baked Alaska dessert. Vic will agree with me that it was awesome. It's got Neapolitan ice cream in the middle, and it's surrounded by sponge cake with a meringue on top. Phenomenal. Everybody liked it besides you. He
I
didn't
tried
even
it.
order it, but he doesn't like Neapolitan ice cream, so you're out of the equation.
I tried it, and it wasn't even good. I was like, nah, I'll stick with my chocolate molten cake. It was way better.
So good. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know baked Alaska desserts were a thing. So that was my favorite dessert. Okay.
All right. So if you're one of the people that is considering going to one of these cruises, I'll share some advice. Maybe Vic will have some advice for your first time going. For me, being more of an introverted personality, my best advice is to trust those signs. To say, players wanted, teachers wanted. Even if you're solo and you're going to look, maybe you think, oh, I'm going to look so pathetic being alone with this thing. Someone will come and witness it time and time again. Where we're looking at somebody that just parked and they sat there for a few minutes, no one joined them. Like, ooh, I want to join them. I know that game, I can teach it, but we're in the middle of a game. And every time someone came shortly after and sat down with that person, which is awesome. It just makes everyone at the table feel really really good about, like, yes, that everyone is now being included. Even Tom Vassell was asked Andrew himself if he was having trouble finding someone to play with. And he wasn't, but he had a game and no one around him, so maybe Tom thought he was having trouble finding someone to game with, because he even says that he will go find somebody to play with you. Say, you want to play this game that Andrew has, and maybe teach it for a little bit and then leave you on your own, push it, go ahead, you're good to go. I don't think it's much to worry about, because when I first went, I was worried about that. I was one of those people. I was like, can I get some idea? Like, I want to know someone. Like, I was trying to make friends maybe in the group, trying to know, like, hey, what does anyone want to play this game? And, maybe organize it just so there's some organization. I can count on something happening Monday at 3:00. We'll meet here, play this game. That might not happen. So just grab one of those meeples with the flag on it. You're good to go. You're good to go. Trust me. And and again, we're going to be on it again next year. I will stress again, if you see us and you want to play a game, we will play the game. Unless it's a terrible game. Then we won't, maybe.
But most of the games in the library have been
I don't like
vetted.
Fog of Love. So.
Or Kitchen Rush, apparently. You're not allowed to play that.
I may be able to play it if somebody really asks me.
If anyone other than me wants to play it.
Yeah, maybe I will.
So for me, advice for a first timer, I would say go in with a list of games you want to play. First cruise, I didn't have that. I didn't put any thought into it to going into it. And I just kind of went wherever Nick wanted to go and play whatever he wanted to play, or wherever we ended up. It was just kind of open to anything. I'm always that way anyways, but this time it was nice to have prepared a list, done a video with the crew to come up with some target games that I really wanted to take advantage of the fact that they were there and learn, do I want to buy this game? So I think that that's a really good one, is to be prepared to have a list of games that you're wanting to check out or see, because it can be very overwhelming and it's easy to want to feel like, let's just go to a game we already know. Let's just, for me it is, because then it's like, okay, we know we can just play it, we can maybe teach it to someone else, or maybe we could just show it to our friends that don't know it. I feel like going that route sometimes just because of the overwhelmingness of the games, and maybe do some research too, like if you're only going to, you might want to be playing 2-player games at some point. Maybe if you do some research to see what games are good at 2 players, because we found it hard, and unless you get that internet package, we found it difficult to know at a glance what games are good for what player counts.
Yeah.
So maybe familiarize yourself with that if you're really wanting to get a lot of games in, if that's your focus.
That's a good point. We didn't do that necessarily. Say, hey, this is best at 3, this is best at 2, and just write that as a side note with our whole list. list.
Because it would have helped. Because sometimes we were like, okay, we got a party of 6. What's good? That one's usually easy. It's a party game. That's usually your answer.
Yeah.
But when it came to like 2, 3, 4, is this going to be really long? I think that's my best advice.
What games did we play at 6? Bad Company was a good game at 6. Stella, that's more of like a party game. Bad Company was actually a game that played at 6.
Yeah.
Actually a game. We could have played Western Legends. We didn't get to it. Could have played Captain Sonar. Didn't get to it. Those are 6-player games.
Captain Sonar is continuously elusive.
It is. It is. And they were playing it right in our face.
We
right
saw
next to us.
it
We were playing
multiple
Bitoku.
times. Times that group was playing Captain Sonar. They were the Captain Sonar crew.
Good for them.
Yeah. Jealous.
Soul Clover, we played at 5 or 6. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was 5.
6. No, Andrew and Sam
Yeah,
were both
the
there.
6 of us, yeah.
And Kim and Brian were there as well. Detective Club, I think we played at 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's kind of useful, I think, to prepare yourself in that way. And also, if you're not interested in the board game part, I will say for a first-time cruise is take a look at excursions. See what the island offers, because some of them do sell out fast, and you may not have a chance to book the thing you wanted to do if you wait too long. So I would say if there's something you want to do, swim with the dolphins, or you want to kayak, or you want to do, any of these excursions that these ports offer, take a look, book it ahead, watch YouTube videos to get an idea of what kind of experience you're going to have, because sometimes, you might find other tour operators like Nick and I found for a better price that offered more than what the Royal Caribbean excursion had. So that's another advice.
Look for the private companies that do excursions like that are cheaper usually. And research them too, because ours was trustworthy and had good reviews. So and like you do, another one that you do is you follow the previous cruise.
Yes, yeah, I do like to join the Facebook group of the previous sailing just to see. There's all these Facebook groups. If you search the name of the ship and your dates that you're sailing, there's generally one that goes out a week before, because these cruises just roll through the calendar. And that way, if there's a controversy or people are saying, the Chops Steakhouse isn't so great anymore, which is something we heard is why we canceled our reservation, part of why. But yeah, you might hear some buzz about what's happening on the ship.
All right, we're talking for a while, so I know Andrew and Sam have to talk about it. One thing I'm going to mention now, in case you are curious, January 15th through the 21st is the next cruise date. Now, you probably can't see that. They gave us this booklet, though, with all their conventions in the back. But next year, the 15th through 21st of January, they're going to be on the Explorer to the Seas. We're going to be there. Happy if you join us. Happy if you join the Dice Tower team. Now we're going to kick it back to Andrew and Sam so they can share their advice. And this actually was their first time, so maybe they'll have something neat to say.
1, don't get the transportation to and from the port airport.
Yeah.
Just pass on that.
Yeah.
Don't get it. Uber's cheaper. If you're looking for my first advice when it comes to going on a cruise, do not get that transportation. Waste of money. Okay?
We thought it was a good idea.
Yep, bad idea.
But it's on their timing, not really yours.
Bad idea. Now, if you're asking about more of the board game convention portion of it, I would say, I think maybe when you're going, just go with the intention to play with as many people as you can, getting to know people, getting to have new experiences. Make sure that you find somebody that is a teacher if you can. Don't go in trying to learn every single game. I would say focus on the people, focus on getting to know people. They're going to know games. They're going to be eager to teach them to you. You're going to be able to teach them games. And just play as much as you can, make as many relationships as you can, and just have a good time with the people that you're around. Honestly, I think that's the best way to go about it. I didn't have hardly any bad experiences playing any games. Maybe one, but it was kind of overshadowed with all the greatness that I did have. And so I would just say focus on the people, getting to know them, play some party games, make connections, and then kind of go from there. And you never know who's going to be able to teach you a game. Don't kind of put it on yourself to, I'm just going to learn it myself and hope people join me. I think just, jump right in, do something easy and build those relationships and go from there.
Right. I would say for the board game convention part of it, I would say play a variety of games.
Right.
Don't go into it being like, I'm going to play one particular type of game. Just be open-minded, because even with me, I had my list of games, and a lot of them were not super heavy.
Right.
I still played some heavy games, and I just tried to go into it very open-minded. I kind of like the lighter-ish games. I can do heavy games, but I tried to, go into it like Bitoku, like, hey, this is pretty heavy, but I'm just going to go in open-minded. I'm going to do the best I can, and I'm just going to have fun with it. Not to be too serious, like you're there for the experience. And so I like that I got to play a variety of games. And, like Foundations of Rome, that was one that I really enjoyed. And I knew that you had it coming, that it was going to be a game we owned. But I went into playing it and I'm like, I don't know, we'll see how this goes. And I really enjoyed it. So you never really know. You might go into it thinking it's going to be like, yeah, but then you might really like it. So playing a variety of games and playing, because then you have time for more games as well. If you're playing a lot of heavy games, then you might not have time to play a lot, because you'll be taking up a lot of time with that. So for the cruise in general, my advice for like a first timer would be to do the excursions. Get off the boat and do the excursions, because that's like a once in a lifetime experience.
Right. Experience the culture.
Yes. And also like, I highly recommend doing the Dice Tower cruise too, because even if, you're like, I don't really do conventions and stuff. This is the first convention I've ever been to.
Right.
And I really enjoyed myself. So I thought that was a really cool part of the cruise, that on your downtime, you could play games. I thought that was a nice, filler activity to do and to get to know, new people. So doing the excursions, definitely recommend that. Do as many as you can. And then prepare for possible seasickness. So I say this not because I got seasick, or really you had one day where you were kind of not feeling well.
Right, and once I started wearing the bands, I was fine. We
were mainly okay, yeah, but we overloaded. So like we had the Dramamine, we had the C-bands, we had the patches. Because it was our first cruise, we had no idea going into it if we were going to get sick. And I have heard from people that have been sick that it ruined the whole cruise.
Right.
So be over prepared rather than under prepared, just in case. Like, even if you don't get motion sickness in a car or whatever, like, and otherwise, if you don't, like, great, you don't have to use anything.
Right.
Because I really didn't have to.
And I think it affects everybody differently. So, like, for me, I just had a headache and then I felt nauseous.
Right.
I never actually got sick, but I just need to go back to the room. I put the wristbands on and I took a little bit of nap and then I was fine.
Yeah, right. So that would pretty much be like, my advice for a first timer.
Yeah, so that is about it. I think that wraps up all the questions that we had that we wanted to go over, and kind of talking about our experience from the trip, especially with this being our first ever cruise, our first Dice Tower event, your first time in the country.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of firsts and a lot of great experiences, a lot of memories made. I think memories and experiences that we will never forget. And so that is going to be about it for us. So we are going to say goodbye and like, comment, subscribe, and click the little bell icon so you get a notification every single time we post a video. And we look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.
Bye.